This week in our video, I want to bring up a couple of points that I think are important to be paying attention to in the market. If you hadn't heard, last year, the National Association of Realtors and a bunch of different real estate brokerages were caught up in a lawsuit that alleged and essentially the plaintiffs that won, those that were arguing for it, they were saying that the National Association of Realtors and all these real estate brokerages were keeping real estate commissions high and essentially forcing sellers to pay commissions that were kind of set in stone to buyer's agents that maybe they felt didn't have to do much in order to make things happen. So that's something that we're dealing with in the market right now. In Nevada, even in Arizona, we're starting to see real estate brokerages getting caught up in those same types of lawsuits where sellers are, basically jumping on that space. What does that look like for the industry? So first, I'm going to give you a couple of my pieces of my perspective that I think personally, and you all that watch these videos will know where I come from in a lot of these. And of course, I am pro real estate agent because I'm in the business, of course, but also, hey, even if I'm not the one representing myself, which I don't like to do, I would rather have somebody that is more impartial, paying attention to the holes in my blind spots that I can't see because I'm in the middle of it, and I'd rather have somebody else that's my advocate doing that. So let me get that out of the way. However, here's what's happening with this space. If buyers, agents are no longer going to be compensated by the sellers, we're not in a market, we're not in a space where buyers are going to be able to pay out of pocket for compensating their buyer's agents, right? So that means that maybe buyers are no longer going to be represented, or maybe they're misrepresented, or lack of representation, which here in Arizona we call it limited representation, because you can't represent both parties, right? That's why I always talk, if you worked with me before, I don't like limited representation, something we don't really do here at Capstone, because hey, I want to work for one side, and I can't really offer both sides amazing service or negotiation or fiduciary if we're working both angles. It just doesn't make sense. So what happens to all those buyers if they no longer have agents that are being paid by the seller to represent them in the transaction? Does this open up a whole new set of lawsuits moving forward as buyers are now underrepresented when they're purchasing homes? Does this mean that buyers are not getting the best deals? They're not getting the strongest offers put forward in order to represent themselves? Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know what that's going to look like yet. From a lending standpoint, there's no way, or in my understanding, there's no way to push in that buyer's agent cost into the financing. And to ask the sellers to pay for it is kind of counterintuitive to what this whole thing is about. Also, any extra money that buyers are getting right now is going to paying down their closing costs, right? So that leads into our next piece. Interest rates haven't changed. The mortgage rates for purchases have actually gone up since the beginning of February. And whereas at the beginning of, in January, we saw light at the end of the tunnel, and there were a lot of buyers who started getting off the fence towards purchasing because they were like, hey, Fed says interest rates are going to be going down. Cool, I'm jumping on this bandwagon. I'm going to get ahead of it. We know that inventory is only going to go down if a bunch of buyers jump into the market. Well, unfortunately, it sounds like the Fed has kind of dug their heels in and said, actually, I don't think we're going to be changing the rates anytime soon. So now what's happened is that's what looks like it's negatively impacted mortgage rates, and those mortgage rates, which are all based on speculative rates of what's going to happen with the market moving forward, they are increasing. So a lot of rates that you'll find right now, and all rates, are over what they were 3 weeks ago. So the buyer's market has kind of shriveled up compared to where we were. It looked like we were on this level playing field where we were going to see this active inventory continue to come into the market, but demand was going to gobble it up, and demand was going to gobble it up. We haven't seen it overtake demand at this point, but supply is increasing, and demand doesn't seem to be increasing as fast as it was. So let's see what happens here over the next couple of months. If you look at the stats on our website, you'll see that there is this consistent active listing activity, which, about this time, we're starting to see it level off a little bit, or at least we're seeing the demand pick up, which doesn't seem to be the case as of this week. So fingers crossed, I'm hoping that things pick up in that direction. That plays into this whole thing as to what's happening in the real estate space, what's happening for buyers agents. For us on our side, if you're considering thinking about alternatives or options, how do you sell your property? Do you sell it while a tenant is in there? Why or why not? That's something that I know I've had a couple of conversations with a few owners here just in the last week on that topic. I have a very, very, very strong opinion on that and what works and what doesn't, because we've done them for years, and there's one particular way that I think stands out more than others. If you want to talk about that, let me know. It would take another whole video to go through all of those steps. But if you want it, let me know, and I'll put one into video for you guys and set it out that way too. But I think, again, it's making sure that there's alignment right now with buyers and understanding of what that process looks like to actually get a home closed and not just think that they can buy a house. There's so many pieces right now, including now, with the market and changing and all of this stuff, we've got to just make sure that everybody is aware as to what their role needs to be in making this happen. It's not just as easy as it used to be to say, I want to go out and buy a house. So as a seller, it's good for you to know, like, hey, just because somebody thinks they can do something doesn't mean it's so. Hope this is helpful. This is, let's see, 23rd of February. Let's see what happens next week. I mean, shoot, we're almost into March. I can't even believe it. I don't know if it's going as fast for you as it is for me, but good things happening here at Capstone. We had a new person start this week. Super excited about that. You all have probably heard us sharing our pain points and breaking through this next glass ceiling of business, but all good things, all good things. Thanks so much.